What we have here is a beside the press grinder called the SMGL3-PLUS. The plus is significant, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But first let me say that Matsui pushes or believes in press side recycling because press side recycling is the most efficient, cost-effective way to recycle sprue runners and defective parts. By automating the cell, nobody touches the sprue runners or the parts, and they go right back up in and are used immediately. So Matsui focuses on press side recycling and granulation, first and foremost. The other thing about Matsui grinders is that Matsui focuses on a special or a particular design. Most grinders, conventional, are high speed. They run at 600, 800, 1200 RPM. And they beat, they smash, they pulverize sprue runners and defective parts until they can fit through a certain opening in a screen. What ends up happening there is when you look at the regrind, you have a lot of dust, you have a lot of fines, longs can sometimes submarine through an opening in the screen if they fall at just the right time. And those longs can get into the material feed line, turn sideways, cause clogs. So the better the regrind, the better the granulate, the better everything goes. This is a slow speed screenless, meaning that this grinder turns at about 30 to 36 RPM depending on the motor that is put on it. There's two sizes to the Plus model. One is about a 16 by 16 inch chamber, can be had with a 3 or 5 horsepower. This particular one has a about a 16 by 21 inch chamber and can be had with a 3 or a 5 horsepower motor. So what these do is these cut more than they grind, and they size to a particle that's typically about 5 by 5 or 5 by 6 millimeters. And what you end up with is regrind that is consistently sized and shaped, homogeneous, very little dust or fines, almost no longs. When you see me open this up and you see the cutting chamber, you'll understand why longs getting through is almost an impossibility. So that is one reason, better regrind. But then when you think about what the better regrind does for your processes, it makes even more sense as you go downstream. For example, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to use a loader to pull the regrind out of the bin. Well, if the regrind is full of dust and fines, your filter on your loader is going to clog sooner. If you're going back to a dryer because the material needs to be redried, you've got loading filters in your dryer and you've got drying filters in your dryer. They're going to clog more quickly and cause performance issues. Also, the material in the drying hopper. You've got air that's trying to finger its way around all the particles so it does a good job of drying, but if you've got dust and fines and inconsistent particle shapes in the drying hopper, that air is going to have a lot more trouble getting through consistently. So, with that said, that's why Matsui focuses on screenless, slow-speed grinders. But what we're here to talk about is the Plus series. So the Plus series is special because it takes everything to a new level. We've offered screenless grinders for years and promoted all of these benefits for years, but we are limited because most of our screenless grinders went from about a half a horsepower up to 2 horsepower with smaller chambers. And we kept running into people who wanted to, throw parts in, had bigger sprue runners that probably they should have been throwing in. So there was a need to have something more powerful. So what we did was we came up with a model that adds everything. It adds horsepower. It adds chamber size. It adds processing capability. So for example, the largest SMGL3 grinder that we offer with a 2 horsepower motor can process about 44 pounds an hour. This particular model, which is the largest of the Plus series, can process about 80 pounds an hour, which is quite a difference for a slow speed grinder. We're almost kind of blurring the lines here a little bit between a slow speed and a mid speed grinder. But something else to consider is most of our customers are custom molders. They're constantly changing materials, which means they have to stop and clean the grinder out when they're changing to a new material to prevent cross-contamination. So not only is cleanability an issue, but also is size. Many plants are crowded, and more equipment, bigger equipment, it just takes up space and makes getting through the plant with equipment and gaylords and molds and forklifts a lot more difficult. So of course Matsui, thinking of all of those things, put those things into the design as well, or those problems into this design as well. So for example, when you watch me open this up, you'll notice that I'm not going to move the grinder. I'm just going to open it up from where it is, and it'll give incredible access for cleaning. So that's what I'm going to do now. Can I get a little help maybe from James? Just catch me on the other side. There. So I don't know how much you can see from there, but I can see straight through to the ground. And how long did that take me? I mean, I had some of the fasteners open already, but how long did that take me? So with a shop vac and some compressed air, you'd have this grinder cleaned out in 5 or 10 minutes. And by looking at these big cutters, these are the crushing cutters that take the big pieces down so that the small sizing cutters can press them through that 5x5 or 5x6 millimeter opening, which is what gets you that very consistent, high quality regrind. So in terms of cleanability and in terms of space utilization, you cannot beat an SMGL3, or in terms of the quality of the regrind that you get. I'd also like to point out that the knives are hardened as a standard. So if you run abrasives, glass-filled materials, no problem, you're already set. If you do run those materials, you know that eventually your blades are going to wear out. Doesn't matter. Eventually they will wear out. Again, Matsui thinking ahead. All of these blades are individually replaceable, all of them. You do not have to take all of the blades, the whole blade chamber apart and replace all of the pieces. Each piece can be replaced individually. So in terms of cleanability and maintenance, we got windows on the hopper standard, and you can't see it, but if some want to take a look after, there's a standard magnet in that chute that runs the whole length of the drop to prevent contaminants, metal contaminants, at least ferrous metal contaminants, from getting through. So that's the SMGL+ Matsui grinder. We're very excited about it and think it's going to open up some new areas of business for us. Please come take a look, ask questions. Let us grind up some of your parts and runners, and we'll send you back a sample so you can see what a great job it does. And may I finish with, Matsui is focused on offering solutions. We've got a whole bunch of unique solution products here as well, and we'd love to show you. If you have some time, please stop in. Thank you very much.